today we're going to work on section 3.8, which is rewriting equations and formulas. First thing that we're going to do is solve what's called a literal equation. A literal equation means that we have all variables, or mostly variables, in our equation. So I have p plus qx equals r. I want to solve for x. So I'm looking to solve for this variable. Remember when we started solving equations, we're like, what do we undo first? Well, if I knew what p and q and x all were, I would multiply q and x together and then I'd add p. So it means when I go backwards through that order of operations, I need to get rid of p first. So I'm going to subtract p from both sides of the equation. That means I'm left with q times x equals r minus p. Now I can divide by q on both sides, and I'm left with x equal to r minus p, all divided by q. That really is the best way to leave this particular problem when you have a whole bunch of variables in there. Could I write it as r over q minus p over q? I could, since q is in the denominator, but it really doesn't help simplify it at all. If I'm given what r, p, and q are equal to, it's easier to substitute into this equation and solve. Let's solve a minus bx equals c for x. If you want to take a moment and try to do it yourself, stop the video. Since we're trying to solve for x, if I knew what a, b, and x were, I'd multiply these together first, and then I'd attach that a to it. Well, that means that I want to get rid of the a first. So I'm going to subtract a on both sides. That leaves me with a negative bx equal to c minus a. Now we need to divide by negative b on both sides of the equation. So we have x equals c minus a over a negative b. And if you take that negative sign up, that would make that a negative c, a positive a, and then a positive b. It's like taking that negative 1 up. I would probably prefer staying here, but this is equivalent. Let's rewrite equations so that y is a function of x. This is important wording. It means that we are putting things in function form, that you want y equals everything else on the other side. So we're now going from literal equations to equations that actually have numbers in them. And what we're trying to solve for is the y. If I knew what x and y were, I would multiply the negative 2 and the number for x together, the 3 and the number for y together, and add them. Well, that adding is what I want to undo first. So that means that I want to move that negative 2x to the other side. So I'm going to add 2x on both sides of the equation and make that 3y equals 6 plus 2x. And then I want to divide by 3 on both sides so that I have y equals, now this 6 plus 2x over 3 can be written as 6 over 3 plus 2 over 3, 2x over 3 actually. Remember earlier when we were doing the literal equations, I said don't worry about breaking it up because there's a lot of variables. But when there are numbers, we want to break them up. And we actually need to simplify. 6 divided by 3 is 2, plus the 2/3 cannot make it any easier. So we just have 2/3 times x, or 2x over 3. It's the same thing. This is in function form. You have to have y all by itself. We're going to try another one. If you want to do it by yourself, stop the video right now. So again, since we're putting this in y as a function of x, we need to solve for y. we need to subtract 5x on both sides. When you do so, that gives you 4y equals 20 minus 5x. Then we're going to divide by 4 on both sides, and that means that we are going to divide both of these sections by 4. If you want to right away write 4 underneath each of those on the right-hand side, you sure can. So y is equal to 5 minus 5/4 times x. This is in function form. The area for a rectangle is given by the formula area equals length times width, where L is the length and W is the width. Solve the formula for the length L. If you want to try to solve that first yourself, go ahead and stop the video. Solving for L means I got to get L all by itself. So I'm going to divide by W on both sides. It means I have A divided by W equals L. A pretty nice, simple equation. Now it says to use the rewritten formula. So I'm going to write A over W equals L, and I'm going to substitute in the things I know. I know the area, 351. I know the width, 13. What I'm trying to find is the length. So I'm going to take 351 divided by 13, and I'm going to find out the length is 27 centimeters. 27 centimeters. The perimeter, P, of a rectangle is given by the formula P equals 2 times the length plus 2 times the width, where L is the length and W is the width. Solve the formula for W. So we're trying to find out what W is equal to. Well, that means that we need to take this term over to the other side first. So we have P equals 2L plus 2W. Let's subtract 2L from both sides. When you get done, you have P minus 2L equals 2W. And now we will divide by the 2. So that gives me P divided by 2 minus 2L divided by 2 equals W. Can I simplify that a little bit? You bet. See that 2 over 2 with that L? That becomes P over 2 minus L equals W. You can simplify that quite nicely. Then use that rewritten formula again. So I've got P over 2 minus L equals W. Well, P is 19.2 divided by 2 minus 7.2 equals W. Well, 19.2 divided by 2 gives me 9.6. 9.6 minus 7.2 is equal to 2.4 feet for W. So we can find what W is equal to. Let's rewrite the formula for F, for Fahrenheit. This is actually the Celsius formula. It changes Fahrenheit into Celsius for us, but we want to solve for F. If I knew what F was, I'd subtract 32 and I'd multiply by 5/9. Multiplying by 5/9 was the last thing I did. So that is going to be the first thing that I undo. So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal of that fraction on both sides. 9/5 times C equals F minus 32. Now all I have to do is add 32 to both sides. 9/5 C plus 32 equals F. Because we're adding 32 on this side and we're adding 32 on this side. We just changed this into an equation where if I know what Celsius is, I can find Fahrenheit. Before, it was if I knew Fahrenheit, I could find Celsius. If you're in Algebra 1, there are some problems that I have you doing. If you're in Advanced Algebra 1, I have some problems you are doing. Correcting with Bob means that the odds are at the back of the book. You can easily correct those with the back of the book. Advanced Algebra 1, you can stop the video right now to do those. I will put the answers up here in just a moment. Here are the answers for the Advanced Algebra 1, and I have some more answers on the next page. So if you want to watch these, stop your video. And here are the rest of the answers. If you're in Algebra 1 and you had wanted to triangles, that's fine. If you have questions, please make sure you pop in and talk to me. Thank you. Have a good evening.